Wait, wait, let me confuse myself. I just finished watching the movie The Man in My Basement on Hulu. Dude, I've been holding this laughter because I wanted to get on camera to let this laughter out. I've been laughing as I was watching. And not a laugh of like, this is a comedy. A laugh of, this is the worst film I have watched this year, bar none. This film is evil. This film is demonic. Ah! Ah! I can't believe that Hulu bought this film. But then at the same time, I was watching. And there's a moment that I went, wait a minute, Hulu, what was the last Hulu film I watched? Is this movie called Control Freak? Trash. Trash. Then before that, I said, is it not Mr. Crockett? That wasn't that bad. But Mr. Crockett too, if you've watched that film. Hulu, the people that do acquisitions for the horror and thriller department, let us get it together. Because how dare you this film? I started by taking notes to show you because I take every movie that I watch very seriously. I take every movie that I watch very seriously, and I believe every single thing has value. I'm that person. I always go into it like expecting it to be good, expecting this to be of value, expecting me to take something from it. And I entered into this movie with that. So at the beginning, I was already following the story. Okay, he's jobless, he's annoying to friends. People don't really are not happy when he comes around or when he calls. He's not really a good neighbor. I'm like, okay, so where does this go? And then we start seeing and then the next thing that I write is information is really power. And this is because we see that, he meets the woman who does antiques, she's the antique dealer, and he's about to throw away the stuff in his house. But then his friend introduced him to an antique dealer, and the antique dealer then says that all these things are actually in your house are very valuable, and we can get you, the value for these things. And so I wrote down and I was like, yeah, information really is power. Like knowing people that know what they are doing, something like an antique dealer, because sometimes you might see something that you might think is valueless, but it actually has value. So I'm really following this, thinking, okay, what's the message of this? Like, okay, let me pick the nuggets as they go. Let me get into what this movie is giving me. And then they get to the place where the man in the basement gives him the proposition of like, I will pay you an obscene amount of money if I can just, take your basement. And then I was like, would I take this deal? But I was like, it depends, because when the guy then says you can't tell anybody, like it's on the condition that you can tell no one. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. Maybe I'll take the money and still tell people, because there's no way that there will be a man in my basement that is strange and I won't tell anybody. I'll probably take the money, but every single person in my family will know. And my friends. Like everybody will know. Like to be an open secret. I'll just be like, you guys, pretty little liars. Shh. Like, don't tell anybody that, this is happening, but there's a man in my basement that's paying me a lot of money. Like somebody else has to know. Be so for real. Okay, there's a line that I wrote, you wouldn't turn your heavy because the guy is at it comes to the antique dealer and he wants to start selling his property and he wants to take this like on the road, like what she's doing is like a show, and he's like, oh, let's go into other people's houses and look through their junk and sell it. And she says to him like, I wish you had even sold your stuff because you're turning your heritage into merchandise. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's another good nugget is, don't turn your heritage into merchandise. Don't take the things that have been passed down to you like your heritage and then just turn them into merchandise, or just start like auctioning them off as some people tend to do. So I was really picking nuggets and taking it as a very serious movie because I take everything as that. Now I think where things, because the movie just keeps playing, and at this point, as I'm watching, I'm just like, because it's this movie. Notice 1 hour 54 minutes. That it should never be. This film should never be almost 2 hours. This film has no business being almost 2 hours. There's a moment in the middle where like obviously the man keeps asking, the lead character keeps asking, why are you here? Asking the man in the basement, why in my house? Why are you here? All these questions. And they've been asking these questions for like a while. Then there's a moment where they now like start doing like an interrogation scene. And I just write, so now they're doing an interrogation and they're asking the exact same questions. Like they've been asking the same questions, some of the questions have already been answered. And then they now go, the lead now goes, okay, these are my rules. I'm going to ask you these questions. And it's okay. And then they like it now changes into like an interrogation lighting setup kind of situation. And it's not like a proper interrogation. And it's like, so why are you in my house? And I'm like, we've been asking these questions already for like the last couple of minutes. Like we could have just condensed we don't need. And then that just keeps happening. And then things now start getting very racial. And in a way that I don't even want to get into all that because don't know. This movie, I, dude, they were not the audience or the writers or the community to get into what they were trying to get into, because they start getting into a very racial place that I'm like, who is this film for? Who is this film for? And then next thing, while I'm like, okay, they start going into his own childhood, the lead character's racially charged childhood, a lot of N words, provoked, unprovoked. Even sometimes there's nudity in this movie that I was watching. I said there was no need for this actor to be nude, both of them. Because I'm not against nudity in films. I'm so aware of like, okay, maybe nudity, like, is there a need for this person to be nude? And that's what makes it like a strong choice. When somebody like says, okay, this character at this moment, you need nudity, and then they commit to the nudity, you're like, okay, they really went there. Sometimes I'm also aware of when there's nudity, there's for no reason, because I'm like, the nude scene, I'm like, did you just put that to show like, oh, I went there in this performance? Because there was no need for the nudity both times, like at all. I'm not even against nudity, but I was just like, why are you naked? So random. Then they get into his racially charged childhood, a lot of N words, a lot of racially charged thing. When I tell you, I just started writing towards the end of the movie. This is awful. This is god awful. Is this a joke? These are my literal notes. Is this a joke? Spoiler alert for a second. Oh, because going forward here, the man in the basement now finally reveals his big revelation, and is that he just claimed to be white. He could be anything. He could be Turkish, he could be something. And then the lead now says, so you could also be an N-word. And he's like, I am white. This film. And I wrote, this film is a shame. This film is shameful. I'm so sorry to whoever made this. Sometimes I wrote, it is good to watch bad films so you can really appreciate the good. That if there's any silver lining, it is that it is good. Let me sometimes remember that some films, the man in my basement. And then at the end, the lead character reveals that he let somebody die, which was his uncle. And I wrote, we had already gathered since that you let your uncle die. And then at the end of this whole film, the lead character is now inside the cage that is in the basement. And the man in the basement has ended his own life and left him a pill in case he wants to end his own life. And they've kind of formed some kind of relationship or friendship or understanding after this whole situation. And he has now left, the man in the basement has left letters for his own family people to go. When I tell you, Hulu, go to your department that does horror and thriller. Call a meeting today and tell them no more. None of this. We need to do a reevaluation, because this film, I can't believe. If you've watching this video and you have no idea who I am, my name is VDK. I make movie bingo cards, which you can find on my Substack, vdkfilmclub.substack.com, and I talk about films. Until the next film that I watch and the next video that I make, have a wonderful rest of your day, beloved. And if you're thinking of checking out this film, why not, I guess? Bye.